When people hear that war is pushing oil prices up, most of them think about one thing: gas. And that is exactly why so many people miss the bigger hit to their budget. Because the first effect is obvious. The hidden effects are the ones that do the damage. In this video, I want to show you the part most people do not think about. Not just how war can affect oil, but how that oil shock can spread into everyday life in quiet ways. Because the real danger is not always the first price increase. It is the second wave, the part that shows up later, the part that feels unrelated, and that is where budgets start getting squeezed. Let's start with the simple version. War can push oil prices up when markets think supply is at risk. That matters because oil is not just about filling your car. It sits inside transport, shipping, flights, delivery networks, farming, packaging, and parts of the wider production system. So when oil jumps, the economy does not just say gas is more expensive now. It starts sending that cost through multiple layers. That is the part people miss. They think the pain begins and ends at the pump, but that is usually just the first visible signal. The second order effects are where this gets interesting and expensive. Take diesel. A lot of people do not think about diesel unless they run a business. That is a mistake. Diesel matters because it powers trucks, freight, farm equipment, construction activity, and large parts of the movement system behind normal life. So even if you barely drive, you are still exposed. Why? Because your groceries arrive by truck. Your online orders arrive by truck. Store shelves get restocked by truck. A lot of medicine, food, household basics, and warehouse inventory move through fuel-dependent logistics systems. That means the hidden hit is not, I spent more filling up my tank. The hidden hit is, the whole system that brings me affordable stuff just got more expensive. That is a very different problem. And then food gets involved. Food is one of the easiest places for second order effects to show up. Not because food is directly made from oil, but because food depends on transport, refrigeration, packaging, fertilizer, and distribution. So now the price pressure can come from more than one direction at once. It costs more to move food. It can cost more to package it. It can cost more to refrigerate and distribute it. And fertilizer prices can rise too. So what does the normal person see? A grocery cart that somehow feels more expensive even if they did not change much. That is the hidden budget hit. Now let's go one level deeper. A lot of people think that if they work from home, they are mostly protected. That sounds logical, but it is incomplete. Because the hidden effects do not care whether you commute, they care whether you live inside the economy. And you do. You still eat, you still order things, you still use services with transport costs built into them. You still buy products that rely on fuel, shipping, packaging, or energy intensive production. You may still fly occasionally. You may still get hit by rising utility pressure if energy markets stay tense. So this is the hidden way war impacts your budget. It raises the cost of the systems around your life, not just the obvious item in front of your face. That distinction matters because it explains why people suddenly feel tighter financially without seeing one giant dramatic cause. They look at their paycheck and think, I'm earning the same. But groceries are higher. Delivery is higher. Some travel costs are higher. Some services get pricier. And the monthly budget starts feeling heavier. That is how second order effects work. They spread quietly. Now here is where people usually go wrong. They wait for one huge red flag. They wait for some dramatic personal money event. But second order effects usually feel smaller than that. At first, they look like a few more dollars here, a few more dollars there, slightly more expensive basics, slightly more pressure on convenient spending, slightly less room at the end of the month. And that is why they are dangerous, because they do not always feel like a crisis right away. They feel like friction. Then the friction stacks up. Then people patch it with credit cards. Then the temporary pressure becomes longer term debt. That is how a global shock quietly turns into a household problem. Now, does every oil spike lead to the same outcome? No, that would be too simplistic. Oil prices can retreat fast if tensions ease. That point matters because the goal is not to panic. The goal is to understand how the chain works so you can react early and intelligently. So, what should you actually do with this? First, stop watching only gas prices. Gas is just the headline. Watch groceries, watch delivery spending, watch travel costs, watch the categories that depend on movement. That is where second order effects usually show up. Second, cut convenience spending faster than usual during these periods. Why? Because convenience gets more expensive when transport and fuel costs rise. Frequent delivery, impulse shopping, takeout, extra driving, loose errand habits, those things get worse when the whole system is under cost pressure. Third, protect your margin. If your budget already feels tight, this is not the time to run close to zero. A small buffer matters more during periods like this because the squeeze rarely stays in one category. It spreads. Fourth, do not casually patch rising living costs with debt. That move feels harmless for a week, then a month. Then suddenly, your everyday life is more expensive and you are paying interest on top of it. That is a bad combination. And lastly, do not think you need to predict geopolitics perfectly. You do not. You just need to recognize when a system level shock is likely to reach your daily life. That alone puts you ahead of most people. Here is the main takeaway. The hidden way war impacts your budget is not just through gas prices. It is through second order effects. Diesel, freight, food, shipping, packaging, travel, household basics. The costs that spread quietly through the systems you rely on every week. And once you understand that, you stop asking only, how much is gas? You start asking, where else is this pressure going to show up? That is the better money question. And it is the kind of question that helps you stay steady when everyone else is reacting late. Now, watch the next video about the biggest secret about credit cards that the banks are hiding from you.